Hello everyone. Today we're going to be having a little Socratic seminar based upon the theme of gender roles, which I have been studying this quarter at OSU in ways that they shape and mold children to fit into society. The textbook definition of a gender role, also known as a sex role, is a social role encompassing a range of behaviors and attitudes that are generally considered acceptable, appropriate, or desirable for people based on their actual or perceived sex or sexuality. My name is Leilani Dana. I'm a music education major, and I'm currently studying in the WGSS program.
My name is Emily Meyer. I'm a third year and I'm studying marine biology.
I'm Gabby Fahmy. I'm a third year as well, and I'm studying dietetics and psychology.
I'm Rachel Cherif. I'm also in my third year. I am doing liberal studies with a focus in education and a minor in psychology.
I'm Chandler Weiland. I'm also a third year, and I'm studying equine therapy.
All right. I think we'll start out today by talking about gender roles placed upon children. Children in the early adolescent stages tend to categorize things in order to better understand them. This leads to where younger children have a harder time being flexible with things that are considered for boys or girls versus children that you see within the 6 to 8 range. As long as things seem morally acceptable, children are usually a little bit more flexible. We'll be talking on our own experiences and our ideas. Anyone would like to start?
I work at an early learning center in church here in Corvallis. I work specifically in the infant room. We go from 6 weeks to 18 months old in my room. However, connected are the twos rooms, there's 2 of them, and the ones room, and we have a preschool and a pre-K, and then the rest of the school goes K through 8. I mainly see the younger children, so from the 2 to early 3s to my kids in the infant room. About that time, you see a little mix of both. There are boys, by sex, that like to play dress up with the girls, and a lot of the times it happens freely and it's okay. They are just a little bit younger than to go into the mocking stage of it's a girl thing, it's a boy thing, because they haven't quite grasped the it's a boy thing, it's a girl thing quite yet. However, up in the preschool, pre-K, kindergarten age groups, you definitely see it a lot. Like, you see a lot of mixed clothing styles in the younger kids, and in the preschool and above, it's really obvious, like, the boys are dressed like boys and the girls are dressed like girls just by what they wear. My kids do, I call them my kids, the kids of the younger kids, the 2s and below, they do, there are a few instances I've noticed that the kids do learn about gender based on what their parents, teachers, older people they're around say to them. Some of the boys like dress up, and it's up to the adult there to decide whether or not they're going to teach the child about gender norms in that instance. I, for one, would love it if we didn't. I think they're really unnecessary, and I think they prevent a person from getting to freely develop themselves and their like individual like trajectories through adulthood and who they're going to be. But not all the teachers, not just at my work, but in general, not all people think that, not all parents think that, and it's noticeable, and it's really noticeable because kids, things that are done in society are all learned. Like, you are born with some innate abilities, but those are human abilities, as opposed to your like societal context. That's how like culture exists. It's because it's a group of people. They all learn and do the same things. They have the same social norms. We have gender norms within that, and it's the kids just like they have to learn it. It's not something they they know already, so we get to decide what we teach our kids, and I don't think it's a necessary thing to teach them. I think it would be really good for like human development to be able to like unbox and unlabel things as boy things and girl things, and pink is a girl color and skirts are a girl outfit and sports are for boys, and it's nonsense. That's my take.
I think that's really interesting. I just started working at the same school that Rachel works at. I'm in the kindergarten room though, as a teacher aide, and even just like 2 years later, today in class, I handed one of our boys, Liam, bisex, a boy, a pink pen, and he told me that he didn't want to write with that pen because it was a girl color. And I told him oh, it's up to you, pink is in everyone color, anyone can write with pink, it doesn't have to be a girl. And he just said, no, I want blue. And I was like, that is exactly what society teaches you from the moment you're able to. These kids are in kindergarten, this is the first school that they've ever seen, and this kid is already telling me that pink is for a girl and not for a boy, and he won't write with it. And I just thought that was awful. Anybody should be able to write with whatever color, and it shouldn't be mocked. He chose to throw the pen on the floor because that's how much he didn't want to write with it, and that's how much he thought it was a girl color. And yeah, I just thought that was crazy. Seeing as there's kids at her ages that are playing dress up and stuff, and the boys in my class won't even write with a pink pen, and that's 2 to 3 years apart in age, and something has already affected them like that. So I think that's crazy.
Learned pretty quick how to fit in.
Yeah.
Fitting in is a really important thing for humans in general.
Well, yeah, in my room also we have 10 boys and 1 girl in the classroom. And I think that has changed a lot of how the girl acts around all the guys. She's had to adjust and be able to roughhouse and kind of become that type of human being, even if she didn't want to, which is a whole different discussion. But
it's to blend in. She just picked it. She adapted more masculine traits, and it's it's just not what you see a lot of the time, because most of the time in that age group you form unisex cliques first, and then you mix in crowds later as you grow up. So for her to be almost with the opposite crowd, it'll be interesting to see her development, and her development is directly impacted by social norms and gender norms, because if they didn't exist, it wouldn't matter if she was in the wrong group or the right group for her sex.
Yeah, and even I've only been at this classroom for 2 days now, and she has already clung to my leg, and most of the day she's around my leg or holding on to me or wanting to know where I am. And the teacher's she just doesn't have any other girls in the class. She doesn't know what to do. There's so many guys. And she's constantly covering her ears because it's so loud, because the boys are screaming and yelling. And so it is that difference in she doesn't really know where to go, but she's okay. But the moment there's another girl there, she's okay, which is very strange to me.
I think it's interesting that how quickly a child would want to assimilate to other children as well. And for example, how would she interact with the boy that threw the pink pen, because that's very symbolic of, I don't want anything to do with femininity. And then to interact as a peer with this other biological girl of the same age, what does that tell her? And I think that's one of the biggest harms that gender roles have in our society, is if it's not even just a physical atrocity towards like another individual, it'll still be some type of subtle contextual hierarchy instilled of like associated with the patriarch.
And it places a lot of stressors on kids, especially developing, because they're supposed to fit into these certain roles, and the way that affects their psychology later in life is a big thing too. So like I'm getting a Spanish for native speakers minor, so we read a lot of literature that talks about, women in the 20s and how they're supposed to conform to this kind of idea, and then machismo, which is a big thing in Spanish culture especially, which, these kids are expected to act this way. That's why a lot of them form into gangs to try to alleviate some of this, and that becomes their society because they have to be seen as so strong. But just the way that affects people of, the people who are coming and immigrating to this country. One of the first caravans, like 2 people just got married off of it because they're a gay couple, and in that society, like that's not allowed. Like you can't express your femininity, and people are literally fleeing to try to get that freedom, and it's something that's not very upheld very well in society, I think. Like there's just like what society wants you to conform to. It's really places a lot of harm on growing kids, and then it's how they're able to express themselves.
Well, it really does traumatize people. Like in high school, at least, I had a friend whose name was Chris. Her name is now Athena, and she, in high school, identified as a man. She hated it. She didn't enjoy that life at all. She was miserable. We were really close in high school, and I just saw the way that society and everything just weighed on her. And at that time in her life, she didn't have, I guess, the freedom in her own, I guess, mind to become who she is now. But through a lot of like what's going on now in society and the acceptance of all of that, and people now coming out and saying like, it's okay, like this is accepted, we do agree with you, like we will stand behind you. I think she really found like she's a whole new person now, and it's unbelievable. I messaged her like 2 weeks ago, and she's like, Chandler, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life. And like, I was born a completely different person, and I never imagined that like I would have to change who I was in order to be happy in society. And I was like, that's so bad. Like, I wish that wasn't true, but I'm so happy for you and what you've been able to become and change into and now be and live.
And thrive.
Speaking on society, in this we are talking about mostly a Western culture, because that's what we experience, that's what we see here, and there are very definite roles in what makes a Western man and a Western woman. And with the rise of the different waves of feminism, we're starting to see a difference in the way that we raise men. Even 100 years ago at our own university, women had to wear dresses all year round. It is currently 30 degrees Fahrenheit outside. I
We're all
will not be
wearing
able
pants.
to survive.
Heating's not cheap.
And with this, we see different acceptance from children nowadays. There was recently a study done. They interviewed thousands of kids, essentially, between the ages of 6 and 9. Girls who dress like boys, typically accepted now. That's what, when we think about that, that's standard tennis shoes, jeans, t-shirts, maybe a jacket. Whereas an outfit you can move in.
A reasonable outfit.
A reasonable outfit.
Yes.
Whereas girls doing certain behaviors that seem like a boy, types of play, rough and tumble, not as accepted as dressing. But it's opposite for boys, actually. Boys who dress like girls, no. Kids, parents, not accepted. But a boy who plays with a Fisher-Price cooking set, that's become pretty standard, actually. Boys playing with their sisters. And, you know, there's still the issue of boys playing with dolls, maybe not so good, but the typical imagination play that you see in girls is accepted in boys. Our generation, we played Harry Potter, and that was, you know, typically a make-believe girl type thing, but the boys joined us. We had a great time. No one said anything.
Well, the other side to that too is like, we grew up together, we went to preschool together. I have vivid memories of these Harry Potter games because that was our entire childhood. But we also, it wasn't necessarily strictly that you and I had to be Hermione and Ginny. It was never like that. I mean, everyone had to have their character, of course, but like, you like to be Ron.
Yeah.
It's fine, and I think that as our society morphs and evolves the way that it should, and the way that is expected as time goes on, and should be expected anyways, I hope to see in our future that there is a decline in that kind of unisex clique behavior, because it's not necessarily, it's something that we have to work on in our society, in having biological males respecting biological females as a baseline, as well as every biological human being accepting everyone else despite their interests, despite their representations, whatever it is they may like wish to portray as their own, as their self.
And a lot of these gender norms come from parents. A majority of it, of any way your child develops, comes from them watching you and how you act with other people, how you interact with them. A great example of this would be, I used to work in a type of tourist shop / boutique on the waterfront. Lots of people from all over the country would come vacation here. And I vividly remember there was a group of 3 children. It was 2 girls and a little boy, and they were all very obviously siblings. They had same face, essentially. The girls found the mood rings, and you know, little kids get really excited about that stuff because it's a piece of jewelry that changes with your mood. That's exciting. And he found one that had a little sea turtle on it. And it was just a plain silver band with a little sea turtle that was raised. Really cute. Nothing that would make it a girl ring or a boy ring that doesn't gender things. And the little girls got to buy the mood rings because that was accepted. However, the father was very upset about the son wanting this mood ring, and he started screaming at him in the middle of a store full of people about how he is a boy and that is not acceptable because that is for girls and he does not want to be a girl. And my issue is, what kind of weight does that place on what it means to be a girl in this boy's mind as he grows and develops? Because if the worst thing a boy can be is a girl, what does that make a girl?
It's one of the sides of gender norms that I don't think is talked about a lot, because a lot of the time you think masculinity, femininity, like this is the way the boy acts, this is the way the girl acts, but when you place these norms, it doesn't just like make the girl feel bad about herself. It also teaches the boys that the girls are essentially inferior, they're worth less, or the worst thing they could possibly be. And it takes away like a part of development for children, because now he can no longer, anything that he thinks is associated with girls, with femininity, is going to be something he can't do. And that's so many things, like being able to express your emotions and cry,
dance with your friends, make music. Music is a big thing.
Try on clothes, like cook for some reason. Cook. It's ridiculous, and we talk about it in a way that makes it sound so obviously ridiculous, and I think that's the biggest thing that people don't realize is that it really is. It's obviously ridiculous. It's nonsense. Like, think about it, like it's a color. What makes it a girl color? Pink. Like, it's a color. Call it what it is, it's a color.
Pink actually used to represent boys up until Nazi Germany, when that's how they started branding gay men, and obviously gay men are a symbol of femininity to the heterosexual people in charge of the state. And it's amazing how quickly something like that can switch. And it's something that everyone in Western society knows. The girls' rooms are pink, the boys' rooms are blue. But there's really no basis.
There's nothing to it.
We could have chosen yellow and orange. Like, there's...
That's the thing, it really is, everyone will brush it off